Good morning, students. My name is Professor Zay. That's Zay, not Zau or Zai. It's Professor Zay. Alright, now welcome to Building 101. Today I'll be giving you a bit of a taste into my lesson series, and we're going to start with something very complex. Organics 1. Now, organics... Wait, hang on. Wait, what? Is that a lobster? Where are all my students at? Well, never mind. Anyways, organics are one of the hardest things to build in Minecraft. So if you'll open up your laptops, we can get right into the process that I'll be teaching you today. So organics can be divided into steps, so to speak, for the most part anyways, but there are some things that will be needing other lessons. On my channel, I plan to do a series for members, which will have a full entire curriculum guide of lessons for my members on how to build in Minecraft. This will include shape, trees, terrain, pretty much everything that I know. So if you do kind of want to be professional about this, those videos will be coming out soon, and they will help you in also doing organics. So I guess we can kind of now jump into this. So the way to build organics is simple while also being quite complicated, because there are simple methods of doing it. Like I have a general method of doing it, but also there is some things that will take some, depending on what kind of organic you're doing, you're gonna need to improvise. Now for this demonstration, I'm gonna build a dragon. In general, dragons are just something a lot of people want to build in Minecraft. I mean, you could build a tiger or a hippo or literally anything. I don't know, those are just random examples I came up with. You can build any sort of organic generally using this method, besides humans, of course, which is a whole other different sort of field. Now, the way I do organics is similar to how I do boats, because I always start with a 2D outline of what I'm doing. I'll put the video up for the boats up in the top right in the cards, or top left, I don't know where it'll be. But it's very similar, and that also goes into it, but I'll explain it here. So for this dragon, it's going to be very complicated in its shape. The legs will be on an angle, the tail will be curved, and the neck and head will be on an angle. However, the body is straight, meaning we can make a flat 2D shape of the body to start, which is easiest. Now, for those of you who have never really done organics all that much, you should most likely start with a straight organic. You shouldn't do something so curved and animated as I'm doing, since it's going to be a lot more difficult and you need to kind of learn the basics before you go into something extremely advanced like this. This is just a demonstration of what you can do if you practice it. So after you have a 2D shape, like I do here, this is the body that I have done. You can then move on to the second step. Now, the second thing we do is exactly the same as boats, where we create ribs, so to speak. We make individual shaped lines going from the bottom of the 2D shape and out, and then coming back into the top, sort of making this rib structure shape around the body, this ring shape. Now, this will allow us to turn this flat 2D shape into something 3D. Now, my best advice is, if you're doing a symmetrical organic like I am generally, the body is the same on both sides, is don't build both sides and try and copy it over. Just if you have Java edition, just copy it and put it over. Don't try and copy over the whole thing. It'll take you a lot of time to do that. So we can also use this 2D line technique on angles, since I am doing some angled aspects. So if you are doing something angled, whether it be the whole structure of, whether it be the whole organic, just parts of it like I'm doing, then you can also use the same technique. You just have to put your 2D shape on the desired angle, and then you have to make your ribs on that same angle. Now, after you've got your rib structure, like I do here, we can go to step 3 of the process, which is filling in between the lines of this. Now, whatever you do, you want to try and avoid making flat surfaces and straight lines. This isn't organic. Most animals or creatures are not made of flat faces. So you want to try and go for something more round or like spherical, I suppose you could say. And I explain this also in the boat video, since it's a very similar method that you want to try and stay away from doing very flat things. You want to overlap your blocks like I'm doing, and you want to try and get a rounded shape with it. Yeah, so you'll see here what I'm doing is I'm connecting these lines in a way I can make the end shape rounded. And if you're still having trouble, most likely one of my next guides for my members will go into shape and the best ways to do it. But you'll see I don't just use basic blocks, I'm also using walls, glass, stairs, and also slabs to detail the shape right. Now, for a lot of you, glass may seem strange. Why use glass on a solid build? Why not for windows, right? Well, glass is one of the best building tools in the game. I would say it's one of the top 5 or top 10 things to use for building. You can add so much detail and color to your builds using glass, which I'm going to cover at some point in the future. So after you have something like this, here is my shape. Now all that's left to do is repeat the process. I do the same thing with the legs, except my 2D shape is on an angle here. So I fill in those ribs the same way I did the main body and connect up my shape. Now, however, your build may not look perfect on the first try, so what you kind of have to do is take a step back and a lot of back and forth, replacing small sections until it looks right. You have to sort of train your eye to see what looks right and wrong with a build. Training your eyes to see what looks right and wrong with a build is very important for mastering building. I'll talk about that in its own video though. Now, after several hours of doing this, I do the same thing with both legs, the tail, the neck, and also the head. And that gets me a very good dragon shape. But the dragon is not a dragon. It has no wings. So we use a similar but different effect here than the 2D shape. What we do is I grab the Axiom pathing tool. If you don't know what Axiom is, it's a very well done mod. I'll link it in the description. It's an extremely well done, very good tool for building. And if you don't know about it, you really need to check it out. It has so many features, and it's miles better than anything like World Edit that you might have heard of. Now, I'm using the Axiom pathing tool here to sort of make my lines for this, but you could do this by hand. But Axiom in general, if you're going to use it, is always your friend when building. So I make lines sort of like a skeleton. If you've ever seen a dragon skeleton, they have these long bones in the wings, or similar to a bat, I guess. And then after we have this skeleton line shape, we make an outline for where the wings should go. And then we do the same thing we've done for every other part of the organic. We fill in the space between, making sure to look back and forth to make sure things look good as we build it. And hopefully, for all that and a couple attempts, you should be able to make something like this. Now, if yours is still not looking as good as this, I will have the schematic available soon, after I upload this video for you guys. To get a closer look at it, and my other guides will soon be up for my members. And that will really hone your skills for building and doing complex shapes like this. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, hey, it still has no color or texture. So in my part 2, I'm going to go into texturing this build. I'm going to explain palettes and texturing and how to go about picking your colors for this. I'll also have it so you guys can vote for whatever color you want this to be. I'm going to put up a poll and you guys can vote for what you want me to color this as. Now, for all of you that do become members, in the future guide videos, you and your skin will fill in the audience for my lecture hall, which you'll be able to provide your skin in my Discord, which if you haven't already, you can join my Discord. Lots of cool people in there where you can share builds, hang out, and more. But for now, thank you to my first member, Luna Indominus 2. So I think that's about wrapping up our lesson 1 here. So if you guys enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe. It helps me out a ton, and you can join my membership to see the other guides in the future. Thanks for attending my class. Class dismissed.